Today's show is brought to you by Fiverr.com. That's the word five with two R's after it.com. Fiverr is a site for freelance work. You can hire freelancers to do a variety of things for you. You can be a freelancer on it as well and experiment with the site to see whether what you want to be doing professionally outside of the rat race, outside of your full-time job, is viable. It's basically a site where they'll do the billing and collection for you and pay you once they've received the money. In addition, if you want to hire people like I do for book editing, transcriptions and such, very inexpensive, and I've had very good work for me. So again, it's Fiverr.com. You can use the link in the show notes. Frankly, you'll get a good deal from it if you do that. Now, let's get going. This is No BS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 2127. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Thursday. Welcome to Thursday. And today's show is one that's part two of an interview that I did with Lisa Rangel about shifting your mindset. This show stands on its own, but I want to encourage you, if you haven't listened to yesterday's, I think you'll enjoy yesterday's as well, and it sets up this show nicely. Hope you find it helpful. Hope you give it a great review wherever you listen to it. And now, we'll be back in just one moment. Today's show is brought to you by Skillshare.com. At Skillshare.com, they have thousands of classes available, not just simply about business or job hunting, but lots of different classes on a host of different subjects. Almost anything you can think of, and they have one low price associated with your learning. They have classes about particular technologies you can learn, pottery, public speaking. I have a half dozen of my classes about job hunting there. Writing, photography, film, almost anything you can think of, they have Skillshare classes available. Now, if you use my link, thebiggamehunter.us/Skillshare, they'll offer a free trial and 30% off if you decide to join. There's a lot to learn, and Skillshare is a place where you can learn it. Now, let's get back to today's show.
So it's like just boil it down to one really simple thing. Typically, when you do the one thing, I find that it snowballs into getting a few more things done. But frankly, if you get that one thing done and that's it that day, then that's still a win. And then you just start again tomorrow.
But I got so much more time here. I could be doing more stuff. What should I be doing? And I know I deal with that too.
I know. You know what? I mean, doing nothing is an action. I've learned in COVID. Doing nothing is a box checking activity on my list sometimes. Like, we have to be okay with doing nothing sometimes, because it really fuels us and rests our soul, rests our minds, rests our heart, and then it gives us the energy to do that next right thing that we have to do for ourselves. And it sounds simple, it sounds overly simple, but I have allowed myself to sit on the couch. I have allowed myself to just play on my phone. I have allowed myself to take a nap at 2:00 in the afternoon. I've allowed myself to sleep in. I've allowed myself not to go to the gym that day. I've allowed myself not to go for a run that day. I've allowed myself not to do that for a week. And the next day you start over, and that's it. But I think we have to be kinder with ourselves. I have my list of things I was going to accomplish in COVID, like learn a language and learn this and learn that. And I'll be honest with you, all those extra things I haven't really done. And that's okay. But I've done a lot of other things. I've helped other people. And I just try to count the wins versus the things I didn't do.
Amen, sister. I also think about the anxious situations.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they getting back to me? It seemed like they're not getting back to me. And how do you encourage people to cope with those situations?
Yeah, it's challenging. I find that the best, and it's again, not perfect, but the best elixir to waiting is having more things in the pipeline. So, if you're waiting for somebody to get back to you, like until you have that signed offer in hand with a start date, You keep reaching out to people and you keep your job search going. You know, it is not over until you're starting, in my book. And I feel like there's like a Murphy's Law like thing, you know, the minute you stop looking is when everything takes longer. You know, I have literally told people, keep looking, and the offer comes in like that day. And it's by no means a scientific process, but I swear energetically, somehow it works. I think when you are focused on, it's like watching a pot of water boil, right? It always seems like it's taking longer. But the minute you go do other things, all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, I got to turn that down, right? Because it's boiling over. So you have to keep looking. You have to keep having conversations. You have to keep starting new things until the offer is in and negotiated, signed with a start date. And I feel like it's like bad juju the minute you stop everything before all that stuff happens. I don't know why it works, but I mean, between recruiting for 13 years and doing Chameleon for, will soon be in 12, I think. June will be 12, I think. It works. I mean, literally, just keep doing stuff, and I swear the offers come in faster.
And I'll let you folks in on it.
Waiting is like the kiss of death, you know?
Here's the secret that most of you don't know. And I know
Yeah.
Lisa knows this one. As soon as you get the first offer, things come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And suddenly there are more offers that show up.
And then and then the problem you have is, oh, you know, I like this one, but it's not moving fast enough, but I have this other one. I'm like, that is a lovely problem, right? So the way I see it, and this is what I tell my kids, you're never going to be problem free, ever in life, ever, 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 ever. We are always going to have problems. You want good problems versus bad problems, right? Good problems are when you have a couple of offers and you don't know what to do, right? Or they're not exactly what you want, but you still have offers. You know, bad problems is no one's getting back to you, no one's interviewing you, no one's giving you an offer, you know, all that stuff, right? So you want good problems, you know, and don't worry about problems you don't have yet. You know, I always chuckle a little bit when somebody's like, well, what am I going to do if I'm giving notice? I'm like, you haven't even gotten an interview yet. Why are you worried about giving notice already? Like, just worry about, again, stay in the moment as best you can. You know, worry about what you got in front of you, not what you don't even have as a problem yet. You know, so that can reduce the anxiety that you brought up too. So, you know, I just strongly believe that, like, the universe takes care of itself. If you just keep doing what's in front of you as best you can, that somehow it just all kind of works out in ways that you don't even know.
The universe? What do you mean the universe?
I know, I sound like a woo-woo crazy lady when I say that, but
but however someone wants to phrase it,
yeah,
events take care of themselves.
They
do. Your worry does nothing to change it.
No, and you know, I only recently learned this phrase, but I'm not necessarily a religious person, but I believe in this phrase. You know, rejection is God's protection, right? So maybe you weren't meant to go to that place. You know, even if you made a terrible mistake on an interview that caused you not to be considered anymore, maybe that all happened as a way of you not getting the offer there because it was going to be a bad experience. So, you know, if someone is religious, right, then, you know, God is everything, or he, right, is nothing, right? So you have to just trust the process. If you're going through something and you just keep doing it, you're going to eventually land what you need. You know, if you keep making tweaks to your performance, getting feedback, getting help, and just keep showing up, keep reaching out, it's going to eventually work out. You know, but the key thing is you have to keep trying. That's, to me, the common element in so many of these successful scenarios is not only do they reframe things and stay in the moment, but they keep trying.
One foot in front of the other, pushing.
Yeah, just keep trying.
Yeah.
You know, I was a recruiter in New York City when I started recruiting, and my second job, I was responsible for getting job orders. So I'd have to, you know, then make phone calls. Email wasn't as prolific then. I would have to smile and dial, make appointments, I was doing finance, recruiting. So I'd make appointments with, tax directors, controllers, CFOs, and pitch the, accounting and finance recruitment services that I worked for and come back with jobs, hopefully. Right. And, some days, and I was pretty good at it. And some days, were great. And then every once in a while, there was like every other salesperson, or just in general, every other person, you have bad days. And I would be like, oh my God, I'm never getting another job offer again. I'm never getting another job assignment again. Oh my God. Like and I was pretty much on commission. So I was like, I'm never gonna, like, they're gonna fire me. And I would go into like the twist. And, I was in Manhattan, and that was my territory, which was already, pretty intense and ruthless to begin with. And sometimes I would just go to the top of a building when, pre 9/11, you were allowed to do that. And I would just look at all the windows. I would look at all the buildings and all the windows, and I'd go there. Behind every window is an office. And, every office, how many offices, right? How many windows? And so I was like, I just need one person to say yes and give me a job to work on. So I was like, I just got to keep going to see people behind these windows, and eventually they're going to give me a job. So, when you see hundreds and hundreds and thousands of windows before you in a vista, all of a sudden you go, okay, this is doable, because there's like thousands of windows and I just need a few. And so that's the analogy I try to convey to people is, turn off the news. You don't need to solve the unemployment problem. You don't need to solve the knowledge gap. You just need one job. Right? So just keep talking to people, keep asking for referrals, and you just need one offer, right? And if you're lucky, you'll get more than one, but you really just need one. So just keep talking to people, and then if that person's like, oh, you're not the right person, I can't help you, go, who do you know? And get that person's name and reach out to that person, and just do the constant conversational chain. And it really is, to me, the magic solution to all of this. It's, it's not easy. It's mentally sometimes exhausting, but if you can just get yourself the gumption to just reach out to one more person, typically it kind of keeps the mojo going.
Do one quick anecdote, because you mentioned something,
Yeah.
the who do you know phrase.
Yeah.
Because, we're both ex-recruiters, and an old girlfriend of mine used to work at the old Merrill Lynch, was the first woman commodities broker at the firm. So it was tough for her. And she came home one day with a cassette recording of a junket that was to Hawaii for the top 0.1% of the producers at the old Merrill. And so they have a speaker there to justify the deduction for the junket. Right. And he's basically saying, ooh, you over there, nice watch you got there. Ooh, how would you like to learn how to do 7% more business in 3 seconds? And he pauses. Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay, time me on this. You got to do this with every call. Okay, ready? Is there anyone else you know who I could be helping?
That's it.
It's always asking for the referral. Who do you know who? And
who do you, and specifically in this job search context, who do you know that I can speak to that might give me some insight on X, right? Whether it's an industry, a profession, a project, whatever. You're not going to ask that person directly for who do you know can give me a job, but just who do you know in this field that I can bounce some ideas around, or might be able to help me with X, or I might be able to help them with X, and just keep the conversation going. And if you keep that pipeline full, it eases the anxiety of waiting for something to come, because you have other things. And frankly, when you have other things in the pipeline, when that thing comes in, it will help you even negotiate from a stronger position, because you got other stuff going on. If you're negotiating going, oh my God, this is all I got, that's going to come through. But if you're negotiating from this standpoint of other things are in the hopper, it's going to be okay if this doesn't work out, that's that feeling of where, I'll walk away if it's not right. Because when you don't have that ability to walk away from something, that's when you might be taking something that isn't going to make you happy. So you need to keep things moving to make sure you take something that makes you happy. And that also alleviates the anxiety too.
Of course. And thus, folks, as Lisa's been repeating over and over again, yes, it's important on the day that you have only the one activity. It's okay to take a break, but
Absolutely.
you have to be moving forward overall, taking actions daily that are going to help move the needle forward,
Right.
so that you get to the destination you want, which is the right next job. However you define it, it's the right next job.
And take the action and leave the expectations, leave the results up to the universe to take care of it for you. You know, I think where people start to have like a lot of anxiety, and I know this from personal experience, is when we try to control the results. You know, like, okay, this offer is gonna come, and all you can do is show up and do your best on an interview. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes on that other side of that Zoom call. You don't know when that hiring manager hangs up the phone. Did the budget get cut? Did, the president bring in their cousin and now they want to interview that person? The next person you're supposed to interview with is now going on, taking a vacation, even if it's a staycation at home, they're just not taking calls for a week. So now your next interview is delayed a week when they didn't know. There's so many things that happen on that other side of the hiring process, as you know, Jeff, firsthand, that all you can do is control what you can control on your side of the interview. And so, so you just have to control, for lack of a better word, the action that you can take, right? You can control how many times you pick up the phone. You can control how many times you send an email. You can control how you perform and how you prepare for an interview. You can control if you send a thank you note. You can control if you send a follow-up 2 weeks later, but you cannot control what other people do. So you just got to make sure you do enough of activity of those things you can control.
I'm going to throw a curveball question at you.
Go for it.
Recruiters, love them or leave them?
Oh, love them. Totally love them. No, and I think, I don't subscribe to the, one, because I've been one and a lot of my friends are still recruiters. But I don't subscribe to the resume writers or the job landing coaches or career coaches that, crap on the ATS and crap on the recruiters and crap on everybody and crap on the fact that they only spend 6 seconds on a resume. Like, everybody's doing their job. Recruiters have a job, whether they're search firm recruiters or corporate recruiters, they have a job, they have metrics they have to hit. Their client is the company they serve and who pays them. And so, you have to, granted, there's needs to be improvement in recruiting, but that doesn't mean the people doing the recruiting are bad. And I think if people can own as a job seeker what they can control, they'll start to see that everybody's doing the best that they can.
Including you, including every person in the process. Yeah. Everyone's trying, and it's hard. And part of it is people don't communicate.
Yes.
For job
and they assume the negative on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
They assume the negative and they fill in the blanks with information that is not confirmed, and it's just, and then, and yes, we're not meeting face to face. So sometimes there's like implied, misunderstandings based on seeing texts and emails and that sort of thing. But it is complicated. But I think if everybody just took it back a notch and gave everyone the benefit of the doubt a little bit, more than once, it would just take a lot of angst out of the world,
Amen, sister. Lisa, this has been a lot of fun. How can people find out more about you, your work, everything?
Everything. So if you like the idea of job landing mindsets, I have a book, Job Landing Mindset, which is on Amazon. It's also on our one website, joblandingacademy.com, and our main business is chameleonresumes.com. So those are two places you can find me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So,
And do you remember your URL on LinkedIn?
Yes, linkedin.com/in/Lisa Rangel.
Super. So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, I've got a lot that's in the show notes that will help you. Go there, take a look at some of the things I highlight. I know it can help you with your search. But I want you to do one thing for me, and that is put in your phone thebiggamehunter.us, Jeff Altman, my name. And when you need help, when you need advice, when you have a question, come over to the website, go exploring in the blog, contact me for coaching or because you have a question. I'd love to help you. In the meantime, I hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great! Support for today's show comes from repurpose.io. Now, Repurpose is a great little tool. Very inexpensive. Like if you want to take one feed, like a podcast, and convert it to YouTube or send it someplace else, it's like $12 for a month. If you want to do like 5 different things and create something, let's say a Facebook Live, and deliver it to LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or IGTV, there's a whole host of ways that you can do this. And again, very inexpensive, like less than $21 a month. What I do is I create content daily and I deliver it all over the place daily. It is a breeze. They have great tutorials, terrific support. They make onboarding really easy. So again, use the link in the show notes. I think you'll find it a great little tool. And with that, let's get going.